Welcome to the first episode of On the Road with Disturbed. This is your all-access preview behind the curtain of one of the biggest rock bands on the planet. In this premiere, we're featuring four incredible women. From the digital world to the VIP experience to wardrobe, these women keep the engine running in ways that fans never ever see. You'll meet the social media strategist documenting all the chaos. You'll meet the VIP team curating an unforgettable experience. And you'll meet the wardrobe lead making sure that every look on stage is dialed in perfectly. In a male-dominated industry, these women aren't only carving out a space, they're redefining leadership, creativity, and what hustle looks like on the road. Their roles may be behind the scenes, but their impact is front and center every single night. This isn't just about rock and roll, it's about the people who make the impossible happen. And today is about the women who prove they belong here, not by demanding a seat at the table, but by building the table themselves. So let's go on the road with Disturbed. There's so many cool things about being on tour, and I know this channel has done a lot of audio and lighting and text and stuff, but there's so many different facets to this that include things like catering or truck drivers or stage managers or assistants and things like wardrobe. So I'm with Zoe, who graciously last minute decides, like, yeah, I'll talk to you. Zoe, where are you from?
I'm originally from a half hour north of Baltimore, Bel Air, Maryland.
Okay.
And about 5 or 6 years ago, I moseyed down south, and I'm living in Myrtle Beach. Dirty Myrtle represent.
What got you into doing this? Is it something that you really wanted to do?
Not exactly.
Like,
no, it just kind of...
I'll be on tour with Disturbed doing wardrobe.
No. My dad was always highly into music, and I'm a child of my dad.
Yeah.
So I followed in his footsteps. I've always been very much into music.
What's he do?
He does lighting for TV and commercials. So it's kind of a cousin of this industry. So we do relate in a lot of ways in what we do. You know, I would sometimes come with him to his jobs and help him set up lights for interviews like this.
Yeah. Don't judge this because we don't have any lighting, but...
No.
But, going like, judging.
No, so 4 years ago, I would say, my dad and his partner, his buddy, Britt, they were really wanting to start a music festival of their own. So, in order to do that, they had no back-of-house experience. And so they were like, in order to do this, we need to see what it's like on the backside of things instead of just attending one. So that led us to volunteering at a couple festivals, doing things like site ops and putting up bike rack. And
you've done it.
Yeah. Slept in a box truck with my father for a week.
No white gloves
Don't
here.
Recommend.
No white gloves here.
Right, yeah. So, it was kind of a quick jump from volunteering and doing very hodgepodge things.
Yeah.
But the guy that I worked for on the first festival I ever volunteered really liked me. So I started following him around at bigger shows. I did a lot of Danny Wimmer shows, Louder Than Life, Bourbon and Beyond, doing
South
hospitality.
Temple,
yeah, all of that. So I was working with 30 bands a day or whatever.
Yeah.
And curating dressing rooms for them. And
that's one trial by fire.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it definitely just kind of happened. And, you meet people, the connections are just there.
Yeah.
They happen. And I met Casey Napper, who was our assistant tour manager, who's been on the road for 20 years at this point. And I started doing PA stuff for this band only in August, and then the 25th year anniversary tour happened, so there's wardrobe involved with that.
Yeah.
So not only was I now handling their dressing rooms and curating spaces for everyone and making sure I have all these rooms that are fit for crew and for our massage. There's just so many rooms involved in this kind of tour, with such a big crew. But there's also the wardrobe side of things. So there's 2 sets that go on, and the band has a change. The lead singer goes through a couple changes. There's fake blood involved. So all of those pieces I handle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really cool that you did the festival thing
Mm-hmm.
because there's so many moving pieces with that, and there's so much going on. You get to see that with so many different bands, and the different each band and each camp has their own little flavor of doing it, but there's still the staple of like, this is the things you need to know with that.
Absolutely.
And even with coming here, you can't really just jump into this without understanding the nuances that happen with this.
Mm-hmm.
And there's, obviously the stage left, stage right, front of house, that kind of stuff. But there's always stuff that happens back here that there's do's and don'ts, areas you should go, areas you shouldn't go.
Absolutely.
There's places that you should claim your territory at, and things that, like, what are the things to ask for, what are the things to not ask for with that.
Mm-hmm.
So the wardrobe side is really cool and super valuable part of this.
Mm-hmm.
Now, with Disturbed specifically, there's so many different things going on. Like literally take a break for 20 minutes and then come back with that.
Yeah.
Coming into here and doing wardrobe, what is your mindset when you first walk into a building and you're like, I've got to set up this stuff,
My
but other than
first
opening this
thought
up?
is always, where am I?
Okay.
I have to figure out where I'm going.
Yeah.
It's overall, arenas are a circle, but you got to figure out where your little hallways are, your little rooms.
Yeah.
So my first task is trying to figure out where everything is really quick, and then finding my room. I always I catch cases in the morning. I'm pointing them out to where they're going.
So catch cases, bring them in here, open them up. Are they pretty set and go, or is there like?
Nope. Like mostly everything in these goes out elsewhere.
Okay.
It looks like there's a lot of stuff in here, but it will eventually all find its place, whether it be on stage, whether it be in the band dressing rooms. I carry all the things that, are in that hospitality world, which I think there's not enough. I don't think people really understand how many little bits and pieces. I'm the keeper of all things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, forgive my ignorance with it.
No.
Other than clothes, what else are you dealing with?
Well, each band member has things that they like to have with them, what they want, what they need.
Yeah.
So I have all of that.
For the dressing rooms?
For the dressing rooms, I have hampers for rolling chairs. I have wardrobe racks. I have mirrors that I travel with for the quick changes,
So you're in charge of like literally when they walk into their green room, that's all you?
That's all me. Correct.
Including food and everything too?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
That's cool.
Yeah.
How many costume changes are there for this?
So the first, costume I have to do is with our security guard, who I lay out his clothes. He dresses kind of like an orderly to roll David out on a gurney. So I do him.
Okay.
And then David, he starts out in a black jumpsuit that I made, and a straight jacket that I Velcroed so it's easy to take off, So there's that. And then before the last song of the first set, we have a 90-second quick change. So, David comes into my little side stage tent, and we have 90 seconds to get out of one jumpsuit into another. And then after I get him all situated, our security guard has already changed into his Act 2 costume, and then I have our bass player come in after David walks out on stage to go perform the last song. The band will change too really quick into prisoner costumes. So
you're also like, you take this but also create this on stage as well.
Correct.
Right?
I have
that's cool.
Large stage stations.
What are the top 3 things that you need in your little Pelican to do your job?
Dawn dish soap.
That's smart. Yeah.
Lint roller.
Okay.
Scissors. I think those are my top 3.
Seriously?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I don't know. There's just so many things.
Okay, so what's the best way? This would be a weird question. What's the best way to get blood out of clothes or that fake blood? Like how?
Dawn dish soap.
Really?
I have to do that every other day in my life. I, get blood out of an orange jumpsuit and air dry it. You should see I have this really crazy, fan room set up.
Yeah.
Because I don't like to always put clothes in the dryer. Oh, I also do all the band's laundry as well. I travel with a washer and a dryer. So that's a cool fact.
How many backup costumes are there for each person? Is it just?
I probably have at least 4 of everything.
Okay.
For whatever reason.
Sure.
I always have backup, lots of it.
What's your advice to people that would like to get into this industry, but they don't necessarily want to do sound or lights, but they want to kind of explore something else?
Well, I think the first step in doing something in this realm is liking to, be a hospitable person, like to do nice things. You have to be independent, creative. Being creative is a really big part of all of this. But anything, if you feel like you have a little niche for, sprucing up a pillow here or doing a little, it's just all liking to do things for other people. That's like the main.
So in this industry, and I've asked this with some of the other girls, but like it's a primarily male-dominated industry. For girls that would like to do this but are intimidated for that fact, what's your advice for that?
I think, you just have to surround yourself in a camp that you feel comfortable in. Not all camps are the same, so finding a good fit is very important, but also just staying, I know it's corny, but staying true to yourself and not letting, male energy conflict with being a girl. Like you should just you hold power in that.
That's so good.
Oh, thank you.
I love that. Oh my God, I got 6 sisters, so I
oh yeah, you do.
Yeah.
I remember you telling me
100%.
that. Yeah.
How do you remember all this?
I don't know.
Like all the changes, all the stuff that go like.
I don't know. Because.
Do you have a set list that you go through and you kind of know like
Nope.
we're doing? You just go all by memory.
I just do it.
Dear God.
Yeah.
You haven't screwed up once? Gosh, you're impressive.
Yeah. Nah, I don't mess up.
I don't know if you're allowed to talk about it, but where's all this?
So, do you want me to bring one up?
Sure.
This is a little vision board that was created during rehearsals. It was just a way to, I have pictures of our wardrobe printed out and our set list, so I have one of these for both sides of stage, quick change area. So in case anyone forgets,
so
what am I
you do
wearing?
have a list that you're kind of.
This is a set list.
Yeah.
Yes. So this is just the songs that they perform.
Oh, but there's nothing with actual costumes on here.
No.
This is just.
This is all little notations of.
Yeah.
Oh, we're dollying out on stage wearing this. David takes off his mask. Just in case anyone has a brain fart, you know. I did, in the beginning of the tour, I did kind of like look at this just so I knew that I wasn't getting it wrong. Yeah. But now, now it's just theirs.
What's your favorite costume in the whole?
Oh, well, easily the straight jacket, which I can show you.
Can we see it?
Yep.
And you made this?
No.
You said something with Velcro that you did, right?
Yes. So there's like 5 straps on the back, and I got a Leatherman in to get, Velcro attached. So then the security guard comes, rips it off of him, takes it off.
Is this a legit straight jacket?
I mean,
I've never actually seen a straight jacket in person.
If you buckled this up, you wouldn't be able to get out.
Never seen one in person. Huh. Mm-hmm. That's cool.
Yep. Yeah.
Are you able to walk us through any of your stuff, or?
Yeah. I mean, it's a mess.
That's fine.
It's a mess. Okay. Well, already, this is being laid out for our security guard. You know, I'm going to get to ironing that later. That's something I do every day. Then I have mirrors in here that are Velcro, that Velcro in our little side stage boxes. You know, LED lights. I have drawers with everything from steamers, soap, markers for costumes and everything. I have a lot of dressing room pillowcases, candles, humidifiers, plants. Like, it's just everything, you know? And then I have all these backups of all of the stage clothes and more backups and
Is that
socks.
a sewing machine?
I do. It's right here. Yeah. So, yeah, and then we collect a lot of jerseys from the arenas that we play at, so this is all a collection of those.
Okay, so what would be your advice? Okay, let me ask you this. If you're going to set up a green room and wanted to do a cool vibe, like I'm a brand new artist, I'm going to have you do it and just let you do a cool vibe for me, what would you do?
Oh, God.
Just like, just make it fun.
Like,
make it cool.
okay, wow, yeah. Well, you got to start off with some good furniture.
Okay.
Overhead lights always off. Never overhead lights. That is bad. So you need lamps, you need little candles, you need little trinkets to really set the vibe. Lots of plants. You know, I travel with pillows and blankets that are in the dressing rooms right now. You know, it's always cool to have an art piece, or sometimes venues will have, you know, real photographs of, you know, shows that they had in the past, which I always look forward to seeing. Yeah, just like minimal but still comfortable, because at the end of the day, not only is the crew at work a lot, but so is the band.
Yeah.
So to have a place to retrieve that's comfortable, that's not a bus, or, you know, a hotel room is great, but you're preparing to put on a show and you want to feel comfortable and whatever. And I think a good dressing room is extremely important in a good performance.
So you spend your entire time making everybody else comfortable setting, making everybody else feel like they're home. What do you do to keep yourself like for you to keep a semblance of home and
well, you know, I
not get lost in everything?
Yeah, I could probably do better at that, but, you know, in regards to, I always like light incense that I'll light at home, so like the smells, you know, connect me, or I'll talk to my family. On off days, I'll always go outside. Is this what you're getting at?
Sure.
Yeah? Okay. Yeah.
Well, I mean, touring can kind of suck, and it can get kind of caught up in it, and to keep yourself kind of grounded and remember that, like, there is still home, and there's stuff that kind of reminds me of home a little bit. Some people have little keepsakes, or they watch a movie, or they have some plants or a bunch of pictures up for it. Yeah.
Nothing.
If people would like to follow you or follow your career, where can they follow you at?
Sure, it's Zubert on Instagram. That's a conjunction of my first and last name. It's Zuubert.
Okay. I'd say come to a Disturbed show near you and see her, but you probably won't see her.
See me.
No. Well, thank
I'll
you
be
so
back
much.
here. Yeah, thank you.
You're amazing.
Hi, I'm Grace, and I'm VIP manager for Disturbed.
Yeah.
Yeah?
What is VIP manager? What does that mean?
Well, it's a multifaceted job, so that can mean a different thing for each band, but for Disturbed, we'll do a meet and greet. We also have folks that have early entry to the pit, so we'll make sure that they're getting to the rail. And then we have our fan zone that we'll build every day, so our VIPs can have a cool place to hang out.
Is this what you like grew up wanting to do? Is VIP manager on a Disturbed tour, or?
Well, no, certainly. I can't imagine a better job for me, but I did get into this. I studied music business in college. Ooh. I originally thought I was going to want to be like a manager in a label or something like that, more of a desk job, but I'm glad that I ended up falling into this, which is very hands-on and different every day. And I have the administrative side, but it's also very much customer service and working with the artists, and also manual labor because we've got all these cases and drums to set up every day. And yeah, it's a great time.
Where are you from?
I'm from Maryland.
Okay. And what got you into this industry? So you went to school for it?
Yes, I went to school actually to study film scoring. I was inspired by Pixar movies and Disney movies, and I wanted to be a composer. But once I got to college, I ended up wandering into music business and really found a niche there.
You went to school to study Pixar movies?
No, I went to do film scoring, which is at Berklee College of Music.
Sure.
And then, yes, but I wasn't great with the music technology. So with that said, I ended up managing some orchestras, and that's how I ended up in the business side of things.
Okay.
And then when I graduated in 2020, so there wasn't much for me to do at the time. And when live music came back, I was just working event staff security at venues. So I just let everyone know that I was interested in touring, because I was seeing all the touring folks come through every day, and I was lucky to meet the right person one day.
Okay. And who got you connected? Is this the first tour you've been on with Disturbed?
No, this is my 4th year of touring. So my first one was The Weekend, After Hours Till Dawn tour.
Your first tour was with The Weekend?
Yes, yeah. I'm lucky. It was a great experience.
Wicked cool. What did you do for the same thing?
Yes. Yeah, I've done VIP for all of my touring career. I was also a production assistant for the band Camino. Sometimes there's catch-all roles on tour, so although I was hired to do VIP, there was a lot to help with, so I ended up doing a lot of hospitality stuff as well.
Okay. So what advice do you have for people that want to do what you're doing?
Sure. So I hire staff every day. I have 7 people over in the corner helping me set up. So if you would like to be a VIP manager, you can start as a VIP assistant. So a lot of bands these days have a VIP program, and they're almost always hiring local assistants. So if you're able to get in with that, it's a great way to develop relationships with VIP managers who might be able to recommend you for a touring position.
So if somebody wants to be your assistant and help out at a local venue, where can they go to?
Sure. So there's several VIP companies, and once you've worked with them once, you're usually in their database, so they'll keep giving you calls as they come through your city. But a good place to start is through Facebook groups. There's quite a few Facebook groups for event folks who are interested in any kind of position, whether that be stagehands or bartending or VIP or merch selling. So you might see some posts on there. There's also not so many women in the industry, but with that said, there's also a great network of women. So there are specific support groups to make sure that women are getting these positions as well.
For ladies that would love to get into this industry, but they're kind of nervous about it being primarily a male-dominated industry, what's your advice to all the ladies out there?
Sure. I would say stick together with the other ladies. On this crew, we have, I don't know, maybe 40 people on the crew, and we have 5 ladies. So with that said, we definitely support each other and help other women get gigs, and they'll help you get gigs. So it's definitely a great connection that we do have, even though there's fewer of us. It's great to see it growing and having each other support one another and getting those jobs.
All right, if you go back to yourself, that very first time young you was stepping foot on that tour bus, and you can give yourself a text message right now, what would you tell yourself?
You got this. That's a good text message. I feel especially as if you're green and starting at a high level of touring, this being arenas or stadiums, amphitheaters, whatever level of touring it is, there's a lot of people around you who have been doing this a long time. So it's easy to feel insecure at times, but you'll gain that confidence as you move forward. And yeah, just do your very best at your job, be the best person you can be in all departments, because this is definitely a gig where you're not only here to work, but you're here to live with your crew and spend time with your crew. You're living with them, eating with them every day, hanging out with them on your days off. But also take alone time, because you're always around other folks, so it's easy to, want to go out to dinner with folks, and that's great. It's awesome to hang out with the crew, but I definitely recharge with some alone time too. So.
Top 3 things you need for every tour.
Ooh, a wagon. I always need a wagon. Who knows what I need to carry around? So I'll say a wagon. I also have a little humidifier for my bunk. It can get very dry in there. And I also need chapstick. It seems whenever I'm on tour, everything's fine at home, but it'll dry it out. So a nice skincare routine, some
I love
chapstick.
that.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
Give me your
cool.
name.
Mindy Bernstein.
What do you do, Ms. Mindy?
I am the VIP coordinator for Disturbed.
What does that mean?
That means that I am Grace's assist, basically, in making sure that all of this happens everywhere we go. So for every team that looks different, every VIP team functions differently. But it took us a few shows, but we've found our flow and kind of split responsibilities the way that works for us. But yeah, she is. I run more of the meet and greet side of things, and I have taken it upon myself to become the drum tech on this tour for our drums that do not get played. But yeah, we're a team.
Where are you from?
I'm from Philadelphia originally. I live in New York now.
Okay. And what got you into this industry?
I kind of have a silly story. No one in this industry has a straight path, I would say. Grace has a pretty straight path. But I actually studied chemistry in college and thought I was, going to be a doctor or get a PhD. But I graduated in 2020 during COVID, and my mindset on work and how I wanted that to function in my life changed a lot, seeing people go through that. So I ended up leaving my cancer research job and I
Jesus.
took some time off, and my dad's work my whole life was somewhat related to this industry. And so I helped him out with a few projects while I was finding myself and figuring out what my new path was, and went to the conference in Lidditz, where Rock Lidditz is, and learned a lot more about this industry and found it really heartwarming how much people love it and how passionate people are for it, and kind of fell in love with it. So got on my first tour in 2023, and here we are.
Who was your first tour?
My first tour was Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Cool.
Yeah, and this is number 9. So
Are you freelance or do you work for a company?
yes and no. To both of them, I am freelance contractor for a variety of VIP companies.
Okay. For people that would, this industry is so cool that there's so many different things in this industry,
Yeah.
so many different ways to be involved
Yeah.
with it. For somebody that doesn't really know what they want to do, but is maybe seeing this for the first time and love to do something
Yeah.
that you're doing, what would be your advice to those people to get connected?
Yeah, I would say first, think about what you think you might like more. Obviously, you don't know until you try. But there's kind of the venue side and then the touring side of things. And within those, there's a bunch of different realms. But I never really considered doing the venue side of things. I fell more into the touring side first, and it's worked out well. But you have options. If you want to see more of the touring side, then you can apply to work at shows as merch sellers, VIP assistants, runners. There's a lot of different sides of that where you're just jumping in where they need you for certain shows. And then you can also apply to work at a venue. So if you're just interested in living where you live and not getting on the road, you can find a local venue and apply. And most of the runners are hired through their bigger venues hire their merch sellers through the venue as well. But yeah, so you have lots of options, and there's a lot of base level introductory roles. And then as you do those roles, you'll meet more people, you'll meet road crew, you'll meet venue staff, and the more you figure out what you're looking to try, even if you don't still know what you want to do, you can always ask them for advice. Then they know in the back of their head that when they're asked for an assistant tour manager or a production coordinator or a production assistant, they have you in the back of their mind and they might bring you up. So,
favorite part about being on tour and least favorite part?
That's so hard to choose. I love touring. I think I love being around people all the time. I think for a lot of people, that's not their vibe, which is so fair. It can be super exhausting for sure. But in my lab job, I was basically working all by myself. We couldn't play music. We couldn't listen to music. There was no one to really talk to. There was 2 of us in there basically, and I didn't realize how much that of myself I lost to that type of environment where I had no one to really be with and interact with. So touring is really fun because you build a family on the road with the crew, and then you're meeting the venue staff every day. I'm meeting my local assistants every day, and best of all, I'm meeting my VIP guests every day, who are so excited to be here, and that brings me a lot of life. So that's definitely one of my favorite parts, and then also going to parts of the country that I just simply would never get to. I don't think I would ever come to Birmingham, Alabama, where we are today, if it wasn't for being on tour. So those are probably my favorite things. My least favorite thing about touring is managing my long distance relationships, which becomes everyone in your life when you're on tour. So my friends back home in New York, my family, my partner, it's very hard to manage all of that and still feel connected to them, especially on a tour as long as this one. We've been out for almost 2 months now. And of course, we're lucky to have some breaks and be able to go home. But that is a difficult aspect to it,
How do
for
you
sure.
balance that work-life balance, and how do you keep grounded while being on the road for months at a time?
Yeah. I try to really take advantage of my days off, and thinking about time zones when I'm on my days off and figuring out who's awake when and when I can call them, and especially if it's a weekend day, taking advantage of that and being able to call my friends and family. Also, even just sending a text when I'm thinking about them on a show day, just to know that I'm thinking of them and hopefully they're thinking of me a little bit. So just to remind myself that I do have people outside of this world, because it can become such a small world within your tour bus, within your crew, for weeks at a time. So I just try and remind myself every so often that I do have a life outside of it as well, and take advantage of days off and do something for myself on those days, and maybe not necessarily with crew, and just take some space from it. And
Favorite song on this tour?
Down with the Sickness is really fun, as is the Sound of Silence cover is really cool. There's some really cool pyro during that song, and that's a song that I definitely did know before this tour, so that one is great.
What's been your favorite moment of this tour?
Favorite moment? Britt and I were actually just talking about these bracelets, and this one that says "The Game" was given to me at the last show in Raleigh by a guest who was doing the meet and greet. And that wasn't necessarily my favorite moment, but I think it speaks to my type of favorite moments, where a guest recognizes what I'm doing for them and what we're all doing for each other here, of just trying to put on a good show and give a good experience. Again, that's really why I got into this. Sure, I'm no longer saving lives, but I'm hopefully making everyone's day a little bit brighter, and making this experience that they've put a lot of effort into, make it feel really special. So being given this bracelet by a fan and her telling me that I'm so awesome and feeling so appreciative of it was such a cool moment. Yeah.
I'm here with Britt Bowman, who does what?
Photo and like social media for Disturbed. You could
All the
say.
things?
Yeah, yeah, something like that.
All of them.
Yeah, I mean, I think I mostly just tell people I'm a photographer because I don't think my video work is that great. So I don't usually say, yeah, I'm a super great video person. No, I'm not.
I think you're kind of the boss, though, from what I've seen. Everybody kind of like, when they see you, they kind of divert their eyes and they kind of all go in a corner. Like,
It's a rule when you start a tour.
Yeah.
Everyone's contract says you cannot look in the eyes.
It's funny seeing these text messages like, she's on the way. And everyone's like, they start. Thank you so much for having me and inviting me.
Yeah.
This is incredible. You are the first one we've done that is in social media world, and I really, really wanted to do this with you because there is so many cool aspects of touring that is not just front of house or lights, and there's so many things I really want to highlight with this that's just different. So I kind of want to back up a little bit into, where are you from?
From Nebraska originally.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, grew up there. Moved to Los Angeles when I was 26. And that's where I am now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you originally want to get on tour? Is that the dream?
Yeah, when I was young, like high schoolish, I think I went to my first show and I saw a guy rolling up cables. And I was like, that looks like an easy enough job. I want to do that. That sounds like fun. And then it kind of, little did I know that thought would end up like actually working out. Like I don't roll cables, but I'm out here on tour.
Did you go to school for any of this, or?
Not really. I went to school for like graphic design because I thought maybe I could make record covers, and then I got to my graphic design classes and hated it.
But music is something that you wanted to
Mm-hmm.
be in life.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like high school, me and my best friend, we'd go to a lot of local shows a lot, and then we made friends with a lot of those bands. So those people would call us and be like, "Can you book us shows in your hometown?" So we started booking shows, I think, my senior year of high school, and then we went and roomed together in college, and we were doing it in college too, like little tiny shows. But we did get some bands like from not just the Midwest.
Where did you go to school?
Nebraska, Lincoln.
Okay.
Go Huskers.
All right. Now fast forward me a little bit to, when did you start getting into photography and video?
So that wasn't until, so I've been touring for about 13 years. I've only been doing photo video for like 9.
Okay.
So I started off doing merch. So one of those bands that I was booking, they were like, hey, we got a big tour and we need somebody to sell our shirts, but also pretend to be a tour manager. So they brought me on tour with them. And I pretended to be a tour manager. I mostly just did merch and then made friends with the band they were opening for. They liked me. They got me another job. And so then it kind of, the power, word of mouth and all that stuff. And I did merch for however many years, like 6 years.
Who was that first band?
They were called Paradise Fears. I think they broke up.
Not a thing anymore?
Yeah, no.
Oh.
They all like grew up and did like their own thing, which is cool. It's great for them.
So that first tour, bus, van?
Van.
Yeah?
Oh, it was a van, and it was so funny because it was kind of their first big tour too. So there was already, I'm trying to remember how many band members there was, maybe like 7. They all asked their friends too, like, hey, you want to come on tour with us? So it ended up being like, we were in a 15 passenger with like 13 people. I remember rolling in that first show and the TM of the band was like, come on now, is this a joke? How many of you are actually doing a job? And, fake TM, oh yeah, no, we all have a purpose. Yep, we all need to be here.
Was it like a legit tour?
Yeah, it was a legit tour. It was opening for All Time Low. It was a big tour for like, that genre of music.
So your first tour was arenas?
No, it was
Sheds?
smaller than that. It was more like House of Blues style
Oh,
size. Yeah,
okay.
it was when All Time Low was a little bit smaller, but still they were like the top of that emo game back then. Still are, really.
Looking back on that, what is your biggest lesson learned from that baby band in a van?
Oh man. I think it's just how you carry yourself on tour. You learn so much about like how you should act and be professional, and also like you can still have fun, but the longevity of your career, like how to keep the longevity of your career.
Yeah.
Can be based so much on your attitude, how you represent yourself like on a daily basis, that kind of thing.
Okay, so that tour, what led into another one? What was the next one?
So the next one, All Time Low had some friends that were going to start a tour, and they're like, we know Merch Girl. So they sent me to them, and they were called Stars in Stereo. They also broke up. I did merch for them for like...
It's not a trend, is it?
Yeah, no, it's not a trend. Well, yeah.
We'll find out here with these guys.
It's 13 years. A lot of bands break up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but I did merch for them for like a year and a half, and then I stopped working for them, and around then is when BobNet started. Are you familiar with that?
Of course,
Yeah.
with the email. Yeah.
Yep.
What was that email? It was
Like Bob Rocks or something.
it was like a number. Bob. God, I don't remember that.
Well, this
Yeah.
was when it was just a Facebook group, and it was really small. There wasn't that many people in it. Like
Before
a few
that,
thousand.
it was like if you had to get on an email list, and you sent out these email distros, and if you were on that, you'd be able to be one of those people. I remember
Okay.
that from the very, very even before Facebook.
So that was before. So I was
Yeah.
like early Facebook days is when I
Yeah.
found out. Someone from, I think the All Time Low tour added me to it.
Okay.
So I was like, I need to find another job. And they're like, have you seen BobNet?
Yeah.
Yep. So they would just do random posts like looking for merch person with
Sure.
descriptions. I applied to like maybe 2 or 3 and got my first one off of there. And that was with a band called Bare Hands.
Okay.
They're still a band.
Yeah.
But they were with Q Prime at the time, the management that does like Disturbed and Volbeat. So that's how I met Q Prime. So I did merch for them. And then after that was Vanessa Carlton and Rachel Platten. Both of those came from BobNet. I'm trying to think if there was anyone else. And then did a bunch of like little stuff in between, like local festivals and stuff doing merch.
Man, I wish that BobNet site was still as active for jobs. I don't see much on that
It's
anymore.
select because now it's the website that you pay to be on. It's not
Yeah.
the Facebook group anymore. And then it's like they send emails, I think, targeted towards like the boxes you check. when you make an account.
Okay.
I think that's how it works because I haven't gotten an email in a long time either.
I've been really debating trying to make a free website that people can just go on.
I think there is. I think, isn't that what Gigs is?
No,
Or do you have to pay
somebody
for
has to pay
Gigs?
for it
Okay.
on there as well. If you think I should make a website, type below if you think we should do that. Free one for us, for the people.
For the
Sorry,
people.
Gigs and Bob Nut. Love you,
Sorry.
Bob. Now, okay, so what band were we talking about? You said it went to
Bare
Vanessa
Hands.
Carlton
And Rachel Platten.
and Rachel
then
Platten,
Bare Hands.
Q Prime.
Q Prime.
What was that like going to Q Prime? Oh, so no. Merch? Did you merch for them as well? Or did you
Yeah,
go to...
those were all merch gigs.
Okay.
Yep.
So, when did the photography thing?
Okay, so I was meant to go back out on the road with Bare Hands,
Okay.
and Justin, their day-to-day manager from Q Prime, also day-to-day manages Full Beat.
Okay.
And so he shot me an email and he's like, hey, I know we have this tour coming up with Bare Hands, but right before that, I need a fill-in for 2 weeks. Would you be interested? And it was like a handful of things. And I'd always talked to Justin about how like I kind of want to get out of merch and maybe do like production assistant. I thought that could be like a cool new move.
Sure.
So that was on his mind. And when Volbeat needed this fill-in, because they were doing 2 weekends of Coachella. So they were going to do like, they're from Denmark. They had to come here and fill in those dates between the 2 weekends. So it was a 2-week run of just like random shows around California. And like, I think we did Vegas and Phoenix. Super random. But the fill-in gig was to be production assistant, band assistant, wardrobe, handle their VIP because it was before they had like a paid VIP. It was a lottery system amongst their fan club.
Okay.
And then also it was going to be photo. And all the rest of it, I was just like, okay, I think I could figure that out.
Or monitors
Yeah,
as well?
no, they had all those people, but it was
lot.
the people. They had lost like 2 or 3 people right before this tour, so it was to kind of cover them.
Oh yeah.
And since it was such a small run, they were trying to find like a permanent replacement for those. So I think it happened kind of quickly.
Got it.
So the one that got me was the photo one. And I just remember emailing back and I'm like, I think I can do the rest, no problem. But the photos, are you sure? I don't have like a ton of experience in this. And his response was, you do good with an iPhone, you'll be fine.
Huh. Wow.
Yep.
And you're like, screw it, let's do it.
I was like so nervous to say yes, but I agreed to do it. I was like, well, I'll do my best.
So did you rock it with an iPhone?
No, so they had a camera that their old photographer that the band had paid for. So when the old photographer left, they left the camera with the band, and the band was like, you have this. And I used that for a very long time up until this last tour, basically, that whole setup.
Did you like crash course some of it beforehand?
So
YouTube
luckily,
it, or would you...
when this was happening, I was on tour with Rachel Platten, and she was in the middle of this like big tour for her. So we were doing like decent sized rooms. So I went online, and I think it was like B&H maybe does rentals. I can't remember who it was. Some company does rental cameras.
Huh.
I rented a camera, I had it shipped to Detroit, and I had, I think, a week on the rental. And I talked to Rachel and I was like, can I practice at your shows? And she's like, absolutely. So I had, we had like local assistants helping me with Rachel's VIP. So they would watch the merch stand and I would go sit in the pit during Rachel's show and try to learn and teach myself how to do manual shooting. Because I'd never done that before. I was a full auto kid.
So was it helpful or was it terrifying?
It was terrifying, but it was really helpful because it at least I figured out how to shoot on manual and raw with like, you know, lights.
Yeah.
Like a real show. So I was like, okay, I feel a little bit better about this. I didn't learn how to edit properly though. That was rough. That took some time.
Okay, so you show up first day, they give you a camera.
They give me a camera, they give me wardrobe cases, they give me all sorts of stuff. And it's just going at 1,000. Like I'd only done merch before, so I'd never like PA'd. I ran like Rachel's VIP, so that was kind of easy to like talk to people with that. But it was a lot of things at once to do with like a decent sized band. So,
Yeah.
And I mean the shows, so I think our first show was like the Roxy, so it wasn't huge.
Okay.
It was an underplay for Coachella.
Okay.
And then like 2 days later, we're like headlining one of the smaller stages at Coachella. It was nuts.
Jeez. Okay, so you do that tour.
Yep.
Success?
Success. So by the end of the tour, they were debating by the second weekend of Coachella, they were trying to figure out, they're like, we like you, we want to keep you, we're going to steal you from Bare Hands. So they had to have that conversation with Justin, who also managed Bare Hands. and he agreed to it, that it was okay.
Yeah.
And then they were just debating, like, what position do they want me to do? Do they want to keep me as PA? Do they want to keep me as photo video band assistant? And it was still, they weren't sure. It kind of went back and forth. I remember the PM pulling me aside, and he's like, I like your photos. We're going to keep you as photos. And then the TM would pull me aside. He's like, I want you to be my PA. I think we're going to have this other girl do photos in Europe. I'm like, okay, I don't really care. Like, either way, I was just happy to, like, get on another big level tour and not have to do merch anymore.
Yeah.
So we go from these shows that are, you know, like Coachella was big for what it was,
Sure.
but the, like, headline shows were smaller. Like I said, the Roxy, and then we did a couple that were like a few thousand, like maybe 2,000, 3,000, something like that. Go to Europe. My first big show is Rock and Ring. It's like 95,000 people headlining.
Was it terrifying?
It was terrifying.
Yeah.
I had to walk on stage and set up GoPros, and I had never stood in front of that many people, and I think I just blushed and died a little inside because I was like, oh my God, what did I get myself into?
Yeah. Okay, so you're done with that. They decided to keep you on as photographer. What did they do?
Yep, so what they decided was they decided to keep me as photo, and then they hired another girl who was going to be either the photo or it was another situation of, like, she's either going to be photo or PA. So she was more PA, but I still helped with the PA stuff, and we kind of split the PA duties, and I still did the, like, the meet and greet part of it, and kind of, like, dealing with the band's wardrobe and being their, like, band assistant.
Okay.
And did that for, I think, that just that entire European summer run that we did. And then after that, then they moved me out of the PA position, and it was more just the band assistant wardrobe VIP photo role.
Okay, so what was after that?
After that, I mean, I stayed with Volbeat. I'm still with them. It's been 9 years. And it's still kind of the same thing. Like, now we have a VIP company, so they handle the VIP part. I just take the photos of it, which is great. One less thing to have to do.
Yeah.
Yep. And then we got the wardrobe and everything pretty organized and stuff, so that's pretty easy. So my day is split between and they're an easy band, so it's not like being their assistant is super complicated. It's like making them a tea before stage and making sure their clothes are clean.
Yeah.
And then also doing photo and social media stuff.
How'd you get with Disturbed?
Same management. Yep. So Q Prime, Volbeat was, I'm trying to think if we weren't on a break. We just didn't have tour until the summer. And so my tour manager from Volbeat moved to Disturbed, and they called and they're like, well, they need somebody. They're about to start a run in Canada. Do you want to do it? So I was like, yeah, because it didn't, like, overlap with Volbeat at all. So I did it, and it was great.
Okay. I've got so many questions to ask you. Hardest lesson learned starting off?
I mean, a million different things. One is don't get in over your head and agree to everything.
Yeah.
I'm a yes person sometimes, and I just want to please people. So, like, hey, you want to do 10 people's gigs? Absolutely, let's do it.
Yeah.
And also, I think, I hate to say learning, like, what money you should ask for, but that is a big part of it, you know, too.
Yeah. Knowing your value.
Knowing your value and learning how to speak up for yourself, too. Because I think that's one of the hardest conversations to have, is to be like, hey, I'm not happy with what I'm getting paid. Can we discuss getting a raise?
So, how do you know when to ask for more money?
I mean, when you feel like you deserve it and it makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think the moments kind of come to you, and then you just have to be brave about it. I don't know what the right answer is, because I think it's different for everyone. Because I think in general, we all think, like, yeah, I'd love to make more money. It'd be great. I'm out here working 18-hour days. I should get paid the equivalent. And you can never take your pay and divide it by the amount of hours you work, because you'll just be sad all the time. It just doesn't work that way out here.
I think it's a bit too that, like, you have to be able to, if you just go to someone and say, hey, I want more money.
No, you have to, like.
Why?
Yeah,
I mean, you got to be able to provide a service that also equals that amount of money as well. What do you feel like separates a good photographer from a great concert photographer?
That depends. Are you talking, like, from a roadie perspective or from a, like, social media perspective? Like, from what people see from the outside or more on the inside?
Good question. Let's do both, from the inside.
From the inside, I think it's how you represent yourself and how you act when you're on the road. Like, you're going to be the person with the camera, and you're either going to be taken seriously or you're not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And do the bands like you? Can you keep secrets? That's a big thing, because you're around a lot of people and you learn a lot of things, and you can't be I know a lot of people want to, like, this day and age, have their own TikTok. Great, do it. But,
Yeah.
you know, be smart about what you're sharing from your road stories.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? You don't want to blacklist yourself.
There's such a fine line with working with bands, especially in photography and videography, to where it's, are you a good hang and are you trustworthy? And
Mhm.
also, are you going to know when is the right time to record and when's not the right
Yeah,
time to
and that's a
record?
huge thing to learn.
And that's got to be tough because as a content creator, you want to get all the content you can.
Mhm.
What's your advice to people that, like, how do you know that and be able to balance that line of, like, maybe now's not the time with that? You think it's just kind of a read the room thing, or do you?
It's always a read the room thing, because
Yeah.
no matter how close and comfortable you are with someone, you still need to be smart about it daily. Like, if they look like they're fighting with each other, maybe don't film that.
Yeah.
Unless maybe they want you to, I don't know. But it's always a read the room thing. And like, I start out slow. So when I start with a new band, I start slow, try to figure it out, and then add to it and add to it and add to it. Because also, it's incredibly uncomfortable to just like have a camera in someone's face
Yeah.
all day when you barely know each other.
Yeah.
And it's uncomfortable for both of you. You need to try to build your relationship somehow still, and then kind of ease into it, I think.
I've known people who have done videography and camera, and they lost a job because the band's like, they won't stop recording, and I don't
Oh,
want to have a
wow.
camera every single moment of every single day.
Yeah.
And that poor guy was like, I'm just trying to get as much content as I
Yeah.
can. And it's interesting that so many of these positions are you a good hang, especially in your world.
Absolutely.
And it's tough with the rise of social media as well, that so many people want to make their own brand, and it's tough. And there's a balance for you, even with doing this kind of video stuff. You can't draw too much attention to yourself because your job is to be a service to
Yeah.
bands.
Yep. And, you know, I don't know. I just wouldn't want to be giving away too much information is all,
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
Just be smart about it.
So in terms of good and great on the social media side,
So from like an outside perspective, like say a fan looking in, I think just, are you kind to the fans? Are you courteous to the fans? But also, are you getting the content that they would want to see? Like, what are you shooting what do they want to see?
Yeah.
And you kind of have to learn that with your band and with their social media, like what is going to work for them.
Okay, so advice for bands that are maybe doing their own social media from someone who does social media at a large level. What are some like must do and must not do?
I think try to cover all your bases and see what works and what performs. That's a huge thing, because, you know, some people, they might think that just the close-up solo photos are the best thing to get, and that's all they'll do. And really, sometimes they want to see, like, your fans want to see more of your audience or more scale or, you know, this and that. Just try to cover all your bases. It doesn't all have to be the same thing every day.
So for the people that are doing this and they kind of feel like in a rut, it's like, how many photos can I get of someone playing guitar with some pyro or the crowd? What's your advice to those people that are trying to
Constantly move around.
Okay.
And like, so the longer you're on tour, what I've noticed is bands kind of become a little routine because it's where they're comfortable. So like, you have guitar players who have pedals, and maybe these are parts of songs where they are comfortable to be able to leave the pedals. They don't need to be right there. So they will go and do like the same location and then run back to their pedals. You know what I mean? So maybe you'll notice that they'll start to do kind of the same little thing at the same time. Try to, instead of catching it the exact same angle every day, switch it around. You know it's coming. It's an easy shot to get. Try to do it from somewhere else. Go up into the seats and shoot with a long lens of that same moment and see what you get. That's what I've learned the most, I think, on this tour in particular, is just like, there's so much cool production and stuff going on, but how do I make it look different every day?
Yeah.
So just trying to run around and go to as many different locations without catching on fire or getting in trouble or, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah. One of the ways that people can get involved in this industry without having to go on tour is for local and get like a photo pit pass. And from my understanding, that's as easy as going and requesting it from the band and from the publicist.
Yeah, it can be, but it's not necessarily easy, I don't think.
Sure. I mean, depending on the level, I mean, it's obtainable for people if
Yeah,
you're
it's
home.
absolutely obtainable. You just have to be prepared to do the work.
Yeah.
And
So
that's the thing, too.
what's your advice? Because you work with those people a lot. And I'm sure you've seen some people that are understand the ropes of it, when to do it, first three, get out. What are some things that you've seen have been successful and not successful, people who want to do that? What's your advice to those?
I think I hope this doesn't come off as mean, but like learn to not be annoying about it.
How so?
Because I think there's a line of like you're eager, you want to do it, and then there's a line of like you're starting to annoy the people that you're asking every day. And that could make someone not want to give you a pass or not want to hire you for something. It's all about how you represent yourself, right?
Yeah.
So I think be eager and be professional and send out your emails and stuff, but like don't pester someone to death. Because I think that's where someone might not want to hire you at that point.
Yeah. Which do you prefer, photo or video?
Photo.
Why?
Well, I'm more comfortable with photo. Like I said, I'm not like the best video person.
Yeah.
I like get how to take videos for like TikTok, you know, and I use my iPhone, to be fair. I use my iPhone a lot because it's easier, but also the audio is better when you're up close to those speakers. And I don't know, but I'm still learning video, but it's not, I don't know, something isn't fully clicking in my brain where I'm just like, some people I meet and they're just like full send and they're like amazing within a couple months. And I've been doing this for 9 years and I'm still not like, I feel like I have very basic editing skills.
The editing part's so hard.
It's so hard, but I'm in a lucky place where like it works and the band likes what I do. And so it hasn't become an issue.
What have you seen in terms of the people who are successful at this and the people who are not successful? What are some of the key threads from other photographers and video?
I mean, it'd be your work. Your work is such a big representation of you because I mean, who's going to hire you if your stuff is not showing anything good, right?
Yeah.
So if your photos suck, you're probably not going to get hired.
Yeah.
Because there's a reason why this job has been around since forever. Like whenever bands started taking photographers on tour, it's because they want you to document and show history, show something happening for them, whether it's, you know, big music history or maybe it's just history for them, but they want that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think being really diverse in what you're capturing and displaying it properly, I wouldn't like over display everything.
Yeah.
You need to be very selective and learn how to like pick and choose what you want to show, I think.
What's your advice to other ladies that would love to get in this industry but are nervous because it's mainly a male-dominated industry?
Don't be nervous. There's plenty of us out here, and it's every tour I do, it seems like there's more and more females that get to be on a tour. Back when I first started, I feel like I was the only girl on so many tours, and now, like, even Disturbed, we did a summer run, and we had, I think, a female in every department, which was so cool. And some of them were actually department leads, which was really cool. So the jobs are there, and it's 2025. We don't need to be afraid. We're kick-ass. We can do it.
Top 3 things that every photographer needs in their Pelican for tour, or at least you need.
Extra batteries.
Okay.
You don't need like a ton. I guess it depends. If you're doing a ton of video, you might. You need to have different focal length lenses.
Okay.
I think that's super important because when I first started, when I got my camera kit, I had one camera body, a 35 millimeter, and a 70 to 200, and that's it. And I worked on that for a couple years. And it was great, but when I finally got my first like 24 to 70,
Yeah.
it was like game changing for me because it was the versatility of being able to change your focal length and zoom in and zoom out because you never know, like on a festival run, for instance, especially in Europe, the stage heights can be drastically different. You can have something that's 5 or 6 feet, no problem, and then you have one that's like 12 feet. Like, good luck. Unless you have, the various lenses.
Have you tried experimenting with any new out-of-the-box things in terms of photography? I saw one girl that taped a CD onto it.
Oh, yeah.
I've seen some, have you done any of that kind of playing around with some different stuff that's maybe not as normal?
Well, so a friend of mine, I thought it was really cool and creative. She's a photographer from Marfa, Texas. Wow, not Martha. From Marfa, Texas. And she pulled out, like 3D glasses?
Yeah.
She had found some that had like these cute little heart symbols on it. It sounds really lame, but she would use that over her lens and it would do this cool filter effect. And I was like, that's just really creative and smart to do. Personally, I've only tried like the different glasses that you can get. So you can get those different filters, like the star filter or the ones that do like spirals and stuff. I think those are fun.
Yeah.
But you also, depending on the artist you work for, it might fit, it might not fit.
Best bone on a budget rig. Someone's like, I've got $3,000.
Oh, I have no idea. I am not very much of a gear person.
Okay.
I know it's been been doing this for a while.
Sure.
I still feel like I know nothing.
Okay, what kind of lenses are you rocking with right now?
So right now I have a 24-70.
Okay.
I'm on Canon, so L series on that one, and then I have a 70-200, which is the one that I've had from the beginning.
Yeah.
Still kicking it,
Yeah.
still doing good.
Yeah.
And then recently I bought a 10mm. It's interesting. I'm trying to do it because we were playing these big arenas, and the band loves to showcase size and scale. So how do you show that without a wide? So having that wide has been great. I'm just still kind of learning to love it because it's a manual one. So it's not. It's hard to tell when things are in focus and not in focus because everything is so fast paced. So you end up getting on a computer at the end of the night, and you're like, well, I thought that was okay, but it's not. Oh, and then I also have a 15-35, which I love too, or no, 16-35, something like that.
Okay. What is one piece of equipment you cannot go without that's not camera related?
I mean, a computer. Yeah, you have to be able to edit, right?
That's true.
But honestly, if anything, the iPhone.
Yeah.
I use my iPhone so much for so many things, and I know people, they like look at me funny sometimes when I'm down there. They're just like, who's this kid? But with the content that I'm getting, sometimes it just works the best, and the audio works for it, and it's like we're making TikToks with a lot of it. So, that's important to a lot of people.
Any tricks for shooting in low light?
That's tricky. It depends on the band, I think, too, and like because like a club low light is different than like an arena low light, right?
That's very true. Yeah.
It's super, super dependent. So like even out here, if I have an all purple scene or an all red scene, I can make it work and make it look cool. But I know like in smaller clubs, when you have all purple, all blue, all red, it gets rough and it's hard to make it look nice. You get very like staticky, I think is the word. I don't really know. But I mean, ISO, make sure your ISO is at a good level and don't use a flash ever. Standard procedure. But yeah, I don't know. If anything, black and white's your best friend.
I feel like black and white is for videos, like the quote of that is slow motion. Everything looks better in slow motion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Touring's tough. I think a lot of people want it but don't understand the sacrifice of being on tour.
Yeah.
I've talked actually several people out of it because the reality of it, and I'm thankful to everybody who reaches out and asks how to get connected and involved, but the reality is you're gone a lot.
You're gone a lot.
Concerts are on weekends and holidays, and
they're not just on weekends. They're on Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays. They're every day of the week.
Yeah, and you're gonna miss a lot of things, and it's also a tough balance with that momentum and that groove that you get on and consistent like go go go, and also you're kind of the it person everywhere you go, and everyone's kind of catering to you. It can be a tough coming back home off the road.
Yeah.
How do you find that balance from being on tour and then also being grounded while on tour, but also going home? And are you one of those people that just loves the chaos and wants to be out all the time?
I think when I was younger, it was a lot harder because I loved being out and loved the chaos, and I was younger, and it was like, this is great. I'm gone. No big deal. You don't think about all the things that you're missing as much, and then as you get older, you kind of realize like, dang, I haven't been to one of my dad's birthdays in 10 years. I've missed all my sister's graduations, and like stuff like that. So as you get older with it, you start to miss home more, and I think you appreciate the time you get with your family and at home more. And I know like back in the day, I used to get I would call it like the post-tour sads, where you just be depressed because you're like not around a million people and all the overstimulation and all that stuff constantly. So it'd be a weird transition. But now I'm like, I get home and I'm stoked to be home. And I'm like, I'm happy. It's like, I love my road family, but I love my home family. Yeah. And it's taken me a while to, like I said, get that realization of like what's really important and that kind of thing.
Who is one band you'd pay to go on tour with? What's the dream?
You know what I think I would want to do is I would love to work for another like female artist, like a big scaled female artist. I think that'd be really fun because I think I've worked with predominantly male bands for the last 10 years, and it's been great. I love it, but I would love to try to work my magic with a female and see like how I would want to showcase their show for their social media.
I like that.
Yeah.
When you're taking when you're getting content, are you thinking in terms of I need to get something for TikTok and for Instagram. I need to do vertical and horizontal. Are you breaking it down mentally that way, or are you just going and just shooting content and it is what it is?
It's a little of both.
Okay.
And so I work with Q Prime. They have a really great social media team that is, in the office, and we work pretty closely with each other. Of them being like, they come up with ideas, they'll shoot it to me. I come up with the ideas, I shoot it to them.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes you go into a show and you have these ideas, and you're like, well, okay, I know this is going to be specifically for Instagram, or this is specifically going to be for YouTube. So then you can kind of decide. But there is a weird balance of how to shoot horizontal and vertical and not miss anything. And it's still something that I struggle with because when I started it was all horizontal, and that's kind of where I'm at. And now everything seems to be moving vertical. But the problem with shooting only vertical is like, say they're like, hey, we're going to make a cover on an album with your photo. What do you got? And everything's vertical and you have nothing that's wide that can be stretched onto a cover, you're going to be in a pinch. I know that like I was shooting a lot of vertical per request for social media stuff for video on this last run that we did last year. And when we started this tour, they were going to do a back in time video collage, starting from the most recent, who is me, to like their oldest photographer. And he's like, I need as much horizontal video as you have. And I was like, oh no.
Oh no.
And I worked myself into my own problem that I was trying to avoid this whole time of like, I don't have enough that you can use. So it's this tour, I'm trying to be better at balancing it. And also just, you can shoot horizontal and just trying to keep things in the middle so that if you need to cut it down, you can cut it down.
That's so tough for me, especially with video.
Yeah.
That I saw this hat that's like make videos.
Horizontal again?
Yeah, I love that. And even with this, you can see like I cheat over and try to do the thirds with it and try to get some cool stuff, but it's just tough to like have to then, even for the, when I make these, trying to post it onto Instagram, I have to kind of cut and bring it all over.
It's a fine line. And I'm right there with you. I would rather everything just stay horizontal because it makes everything easier, but there is like the numbers show that the vertical stuff performs better.
It sucks.
Yeah, it sucks. But if you only shoot vertical, then you're screwed when you do YouTube. So what are you gonna do?
I don't know.
You got to do both.
Yeah.
I've had with like Volbeat, for example, they've come to me one day and they're like, hey, we're gonna make a music video for this song, but we want you to make it with all your footage that you've collected over the last year.
Oh.
But this was like when it was still, it wasn't like vertical video, it was all horizontal. So I had tons of stuff to work with.
Yeah.
Now it's a little bit scary. Like I always have to tell myself and remember that like that could be a possibility. You need to make sure you have both.
So advice to people who want to break into this industry and do what you do.
Keep shooting. Don't get discouraged. Keep trying. Because it's tough. It's an oversaturated industry to begin with. Doesn't make it impossible. I know a lot of people where their first tour is like Harry Styles. Like, what? You didn't have to sleep on the floor in a 15-passenger van with like 12 people? So yeah, that's definitely different. But yeah, just keep shooting, keep working at it, represent yourself well, and like try to make as many friends in the industry as you can, because that's where it's so word of mouth out here. It's not like, yeah, there's BobNet, but it's not so much a website that you can just go and apply like on an Indeed and like you get a job the next day. It's so word of mouth. So like when I meet people and I make friends with like local photographers, if they're cool and we like keep in touch and stuff, but they're not like annoying.
Yeah.
When I get someone calls me and they're like, hey, do you know anyone in this town that could shoot this show? Like, I do actually. And then I just send them their name.
Thank you so much for
Yeah.
your time.
Thanks for having me. This was fun.
Awesome. I wish we had all the time in the world, but you got places to be, and you got a band that's coming that you got to go shoot for.
I need to start doing some content.
You got to actually go to work.
Yeah.
If you want to support this channel, we've got Patreon and we've got YouTube membership. We've also got merch there, so please go and support this. If people want to follow you and follow your career, where can they follow you at?
I'm the most active on Instagram.
Okay.
So at Britt Bowman, 2 T's, Bowman. I have a little bit of a TikTok, but I'm not great at it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Or
I'm
come
just Instagram.
or come to a Volbeat or Disturb show near you.
Yep.
We did it.
Yay.
Yay.
Thank you.